everybody, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. And as you guys can probably tell, I did not post a video last week. You know, with everything going on in the world, which I'm sure you guys are all aware of, I just didn't really feel comfortable posting last week. I wanted to, you know, leave it to be a week where everyone was focusing on more important things, you know, with everything going on with the Black Lives Matter movement and all the protests and everything. I want people to focus on that. And also, you know, there was the Blackout Tuesday where people weren't supposed to be promoting their art and their creative side. They were just solely supposed to be focusing on the movement, which I totally agree with. And I felt weird posting like an album review during all this. Like it felt weird. And I wasn't even sure if I was gonna post this week, to be honest, just because it still feels a little weird to kind of post like everything's normal when there's a lot going on. But then I decided that instead of just posting like a regular album review or not posting at all, I could take this time to talk to you guys about some of my favorite diverse bands and artists. One of my friends did this on Facebook. He posted about a few of his favorite Black and brown bands, and I thought it was a really great idea because there is definitely systemic racism in the music industry, and especially in the kind of alternative pop-punk hardcore scene. It's mostly bands full of white guys, and you know, this is something that I feel like is not talked about enough, as it should be. So I thought this was a great time to take this opportunity and shed light on these bands that deserve support, and especially during this time. So I'm gonna be sharing with you guys, like I said, my favorite diverse bands. So these are bands that have, you know, diverse members in them. They're not just a bunch of white guys. And like I said, there definitely is systemic racism in the scene, and I think it's very important that during this time, especially with COVID still being present, you know, we should support these bands when they can't tour and just, you know, shed light on this subject because it's definitely prevalent in the music scene. So I have 10 bands/artists I'm going to talk about today. I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about what kind of music they make, the genre, you know, and tell you guys some of my favorite songs by them so you guys will know what to check out. I also tried to pick bands that I haven't really talked too much about on my channel or that were a little bit more underground and underrated. Like obviously I could talk about Neck Deep because, you know, Danny's in the band, black drummer, who I love. But most of you guys have probably heard of Neck Deep and probably already listened to them. So I tried to really select it down to bands that I think deserve more credit and are a bit underrated. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first band is Veil of Maya, who I'm sure if you're into metalcore, you've probably heard of them. They've been on some pretty big tours the last few years. I've seen them before with Attila, and they were really good. Like I said, they're metalcore, so if you like metalcore music, I definitely recommend them. My favorite songs by them are Overthrow, Pool Spray, and Mikasa, which I think is like their most popular song, but it's very good. They have a really good stage presence. When I saw them live, the lead singer like jumped into the crowd and was like just walking around and singing with everybody, and it was really fun, so definitely would recommend them. Next band is Turnstile, and they are kind of like, I don't know what you want to call them, like grungy hardcore/rock is what I called them. They are one of my favorite, you know, kind of grungier hardcore bands. I think they are still underrated, honestly. And I've talked about them a little bit on this channel, but I think they deserve a lot of recognition. My favorite songs by them are Generator, Drop, and Real Thing. The next band is Teamonade. I hope I'm saying that right. It's a mixture between tea and lemonade. These guys are super cool. They're kind of folk rock and indie, and I saw them when they opened up for Matt Caracase in the fall. And they just had a really cool stage presence. They were very like personable on stage, just telling little stories. They make their own merch like by hand. Like they were talking about it, and it was just sounded really cool. They seem like really, really cool people. Their songs give a very like chill and just kind of like good vibes. So I would definitely recommend them for like the summer. I feel like they'd be really good for like summer kind of road trip vibes. Yeah, they're just very feel-good songs, and I think they're super underrated. My favorite songs by them are Exist, Do and Die, and Bliss. My next artist is a solo artist. Her name is Jetta. She makes, I don't know exactly what you want to call it. I said like electro pop, but she has a very deep and smooth voice, and she has like I think 500,000 listeners on Spotify, but like she deserves more. She's super underrated, I think, for how talented her vocals are, and she just has like this, like I said, just smooth voice that just like, I want her to sing me to sleep, but her voice can also get really powerful as well, so I think she can do a lot with her voice, which is what I love. My favorite songs by her are Feels Like Coming Home, Fool, and Hangin'. The next artist is Volumes. They are a metalcore band, and I think you guys might have also probably heard of them. They toured with Attila 2 years ago. That's how I found out about them. And their live shows are crazy. Let me just say, like, they go off. I mean, like, their lighting, I remember, was really, really cool, and they kind of like rap in some of their songs. So like they are metalcore, but there's almost like a metalcore rap side to them, which is really cool. And they're just always like jumping up around stage, getting like really kind of into the crowd, you know. I just remember their live shows being really fun, and I didn't really know any of their songs when I saw them, but I was like super captivated during their set just because of how, I don't know, like personable and just how interactive they are on stage. Some of my favorite songs by them are On Her Mind, Feels Good, and Finite. The next artist is another solo artist, and her name is Fleur East. I hope I'm saying that right, but she's really cool. She's definitely pop, and we actually had her song Sax on the Journeys CD like 2 years ago, back when I used to work at Underground by Journeys, and it had such a fun music video. She's like so energetic and poppy and fun, so that's definitely my favorite song by her. I also like the songs Lucky and Mine, so I definitely encourage you guys to check her out if you are looking for a more upbeat pop artist to support. I really think that she's still very underrated, and honestly, Sax is like a really great summer vibe song. Like you can hear the saxophones in it because that's what the song's about, and it's just a great song. And the music video I also recommend checking out. I remember being in the store trying to like learn the choreography to it because it was just so fun, so definitely would recommend her if you're looking for more upbeat pop. The next band is Born Anew, who I love. They're one of my favorite hardcore bands, and they're so underrated. They're also a fantastic live band. Like, they will get in your face, they will scream at you, they will get you all riled up, and it's so fun. I saw them when they opened up for Downswing last summer, and it was just a fantastic show, and they were, I think, the second opener, and like they were able to get the crowd so into it, you know, at such an early stage in the show. So I definitely recommend them. I like can't stop talking about them recently. I love them. My favorite songs are Buried Youth, Backbreaker, and Cell of Mind. The next band is Rotting Out, who have definitely become more popular the last year, so you guys may have heard of them or at least know the song Reaper. But they're really, really good. They opened up for Knocked Loose back in the fall, and they are hardcore, so they're really, really fun to see live. But the one thing I really want to talk about with them is that when I saw them open up for Knocked Loose in the fall, they actually talked about racism, and they talked about that they experienced it growing up a lot. They are a mixture of like a Black and Latino band, and you know, they talked about growing up in poor neighborhoods and having to deal with racism, and it was something that just kind of followed them around on the streets. I mean, they have a song called Street Prowl where if you listen to the lyrics, it's about that, and they were very, very vocal about it. And I mean, they were an opener, and they stopped and they talked about it, and I think it was very important for them to speak up about it. And I remember the whole crowd was really just listening, and they even got the whole crowd to start chanting things. I forget exactly what it was, but it was things like, you know, F racism or like something like that. You know, they were getting the crowd to cheer for inclusivity and equality in the scene and beyond. And I think it was a very, very powerful moment, and I remember it very vividly because I was in the crowd like, these guys are great. Like, I mean, you know, obviously I wanted to support them anyways, but when they made that little speech, I'm like, I'm glad they're speaking up about this, because like I said, if you look at the lyrics of most of their songs, it's about growing up and having to deal with this. So definitely a very powerful band with their songs. Really encourage you guys to check them out. My favorite songs by them are Laugh Now, Die Later, No Clue, and Street Prowl, of course. The second to last band today I want to talk about is Action Slash Adventure. They are pop punk. They're a pop punk band, and they are definitely underrated. I think they're from Chicago, I'm pretty sure, because I saw them there, and I'm pretty sure they're from Chicago, or like the suburbs or something. But they're really, really fun. They definitely deserve more recognition. I feel like if you like bands like The Story So Far, or kind of just like classic pop punk, like Waster and like bands like that, I think you would definitely like them. I think they're really underrated for, I mean, how great their songs are in such an early stage in their music career. My favorite songs by them are Tuck Everlasting, Suburban Legends, and LXVI. I don't know if that's how you say it or if you're supposed to read the Roman numerals, which I haven't done Roman numerals in a while. What would that be? 50? 66. Is that what it is? 66? I think it's 66. Or LXVI. I don't know. It's a great song. And the last band I want to talk about is a band that I actually saw most recently, the last show I went to back in March, and that is Meet Me at the Altar. They are an all-female band as well as being a diverse band, and they are, I don't want to say just pop punk, I guess I would give them more like raw pop punk, because the lead singer, she does kind of scream in some of the songs, like she gets into it. It's definitely more of that raw side. I would compare them to bands like Rarity in terms of vocal style, but I would definitely compare them to Belmont, and I think I've said this before on this channel, but I think that they are kind of like the female version of Belmont in a way. They remind me a lot of Belmont with their instrumentation style, so if you like really cool riffs and stuff, definitely recommend checking them out. I think they're very underrated. They put on a great live show and I saw them too. I think they were they were one of the later bands, but they weren't the headliner, but it was in a small venue and everybody was just getting into it. And I mean, like, the lead singer is super talented. They're all talented. I went up to them at the end and I was just like, you girls are fantastic. Like, they're crushing it. So definitely check them out. My favorite songs by them are Tyranny, Sane, and Caught in the Middle. Well, there you guys go. Those are 10 of my favorite diverse bands / artists. I could honestly probably do a part 2 to this video, and maybe I will, but I would really love it if you guys recommend some more diverse artists for me to check out. They can be bands or they can be solo artists, because I definitely mentioned a few in this video, but I just really want to support those artists because it's definitely harder for, you know, them to get bigger in the scene. And especially if you look at the history of, you know, the punk genre, there has been a lot of racism in the history of that genre. You know, you look back to punk and it was a lot of like poor white guys who tended to be racist. It's, you know, it's a thing that I think is not talked about enough, and I just think we should be shedding light on it, especially during this time. I'm also going to leave some links in the description for places that you guys can donate. If you're not able to go to protests and things, because obviously coronavirus, you know, but there are always ways you guys can help. I've been posting a lot of links on my Twitter as well, which is always linked below, but I will post some direct links where you guys can donate down below. And I think I'll also post a link to a tweet that a friend of mine tweeted where it was state by state links, which I think is really helpful. So I'll also put that down there as well. But yeah, I just thought that this would be a fitting video for this week because I didn't want to just ignore this and pretend like it's not happening, because I think it's very important to talk about, you know, Black Lives Matter. I think it's something that, you know, is prevalent in this country, the world, and especially in the scene, and it's not talked about enough. So definitely go and listen to these bands. Please give them your love, give them your support, buy their merch if you can, if you want to, you know, show them some love, especially during this time, because they really, really deserve it. But other than that, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a like if you did, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!